Steffani LeFevour wants to live in a world surrounded by ambitious, driven women who own their day, step into their greatness, and who never say no to a dirty martini. As a happiness coach and mindset mentor, she's helped hundreds of women shift their thoughts, transform their relationships, and live more extraordinary lives than they have ever dreamed possible. When she's not chasing after her 2 kids, you can find her coaching, traveling, eating dark chocolate, and working by the pool at Soho House in Chicago. So thank you so much for coming on, Steffani, and sharing with our audience your wisdom and all of the happiness experience. And I know you and I have talked, and you've had so much experience with personal development and speaking and events, and there's so much wisdom. So for everyone who's joining us either live or listening to the podcast, the replay, whatever it might be, Steffani is going to be bringing us some amazing stuff today. So Steffani, again, thank you.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be a part of this. When I first met you, I was like, oh, I can't wait. And then we could finally get it together now. So thanks for
Yes. Perfect timing. Love it, love it, love it.
Can I share this on my Facebook page and stuff? Maybe I can do that while I'm...
Sure. Yeah, let's do it. Yeah. And so you could do that. And then the other thing is that we need to know, Steffani, is today's theme is called Upgrade Your Questions. So in terms of the questions that you asked, how have you over time upgraded your questions? And just make sure any other sources are muted. And then in terms of...
Wait, I lost your sound. I can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, you can.
I don't know why you were back. You were saying something about upgrade your questions, and then it kind of went in and out.
Okay, so you can hear me now, right? Running perfect? Cool, you're loud and clear on my end. So in terms of upgrading your questions, how have you done that to really create your reality, and like what profound shifts have you seen? What have you discovered by upgrading your questions?
Ooh, such a good question. Upgrading my questions. I've never thought about it that way, but I've definitely upgraded my questions in the last few years of my spiritual evolution and my personal expansion.
Yeah.
And a couple of questions that I've upgraded that come to mind are, I dive deep into the question of what makes me happy, because I never really was as intentional about my happiness as I am now. And I know that no one else is responsible for my happiness but me, and no circumstances are responsible for my happiness. It's all an internal thing. So what makes me truly happy? And then a follow-up question to that, like, how can I consciously do things that make me happy every day? So that I'm in a state of happiness, which to me is the art of allowing and like vibrationally tuning into things that I love. Like, I believe everything comes to us when we can, tune into the joy and the happiness that we're truly seeking. So that's a big upgraded question that is like really prevalent in my life. And another question that comes to me is, how may I serve? Years ago, I just started really falling into that question. And it's kind of become my mantra and my prayer that I say every morning, like, how may I serve? Like, show me how I can serve. So that's an upgraded sort of life question that I try and put out there all the time.
How do you increase the frequency of which you ask these important questions, and even take them from conscious competence, which is like you have to effort to ask them, to making it more of like an unconscious or habitual action?
Good question. I create new daily habits around them. So, and I don't just, I create a new daily habit, and then I track the daily habit, and I have other people that are holding me accountable to the daily habit. And it sounds crazy, but even something as simple as that, like asking myself, how may I serve, or applying my happiness into my life, or, something else I did recently that a new daily habit that I was tracking is like telling my kids how amazing they are and that they can be, do, and have anything they want in this life. And so as a mom, of course, I think like, oh, I tell them that, but am I telling them that daily? And so I started tracking it. Like, I have an Excel spreadsheet of these sacred rituals that I want to do every day that are new for me, because there are sacred rituals that I do every day, like listen to a piece of music every morning to get me in a good state, or working out, or, drinking a green drink, that they're already habit. So those don't have to be on there. But these new things that I want to create as habits, I would put them on an Excel spreadsheet and have them on my phone. Like some people print them out and track them. I like to have them on my phone so I can tick them off when I do them, and share them with an accountability group so that they know, they can see, when I'm slacking off and when I'm having bad days, it's because I haven't done any of those things that I'm really trying to implement in my life. So even with those types of new questions and things, that's what I would do. That's how I apply them into my life.
Love it. Juicy stuff. This is super practical, and it's like these little tiny tweaks and tiny habits, seemingly tiny, seemingly minute, minor questions that produce the greatest results over the long term. And I love how you mentioned, am I really telling my kids every single day that they can be, do, and have anything, that anything is possible, possibilities are infinite, that direct intention and action every single day over time makes the biggest freaking difference. I love it.
It does. And we can start living in that space of these new habits. I think our life is, created by our daily habits. So, and a lot of people have that question of well, how can I create these new daily habits? And for me, it's designing them and then accountability. I think very few people can do it being self-motivated. And so measuring it and having accountability is so key.
Yes.
Even for some of those beautiful things, like that thing with my kid, or controlling my reaction with my husband, or, a new visualization, or reading my goals every night, things that don't come as natural, but that I know would be really effective.
Yeah, I love it. So we're starting off so juicy and practical and tactical. This is gold. So Steffani, why don't we dive in a little bit more about who you are and what you're creating these days?
Okay, awesome. Where do I start? Who am I? Well, I was born. No. I am a mom, and I'm a happiness coach and author, a new author. I just launched my book.
Woohoo!
Yeah, very exciting. Having a big book launch party tomorrow. I wish you lived around here, Chris, and you can come.
Love it. Oh my gosh.
The book is called You Are a Badass Mom.
Yeah.
And, it's so funny being in this whole world of being a mindset mentor and happiness coach and an author, because I didn't ever want to get married. I didn't want to have kids. It was just something that I feared I'd be really bad at. So, I when I was younger, I just shied away from anything that I didn't think I was going to be good at. And it just things that scared me. I didn't, do things outside of the box. I didn't lean in. And, I didn't want to, my dad was an alcoholic. I didn't want to marry my dad. My mom yelled a lot. I didn't want to turn into my mom. And even with a lot of personal growth and intentionality to my life, because I started in this world of personal growth, right into and after college, diving into Taoism and A Course in Miracles and Marianne Williamson and Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer, and kind of young, where I was hiding it because it's kind of embarrassing that I was into all this stuff. And
Totally.
Oprah. I watched Oprah, and every book that she mentioned I would get and read and absorb and apply into my life. But kind of in the closet about it when I was, in my 20 and 21, in my young 20s. But they really made a profound difference in my life, and I started learning more about forgiveness and our inner power and unconditional love and acceptance. And so I did end up marrying my dad, in the sense that I married my husband, who was also an alcoholic but got sober. So I married my sober dad, and I did turn into my mom, and I did yell at my kids for a long time without knowing how to do better. So it's amazing how this process evolves, and I teach that which I need to learn. I think we all do. So So I teach moms how to find their higher self, how to shift their mindset, how to work on their limiting beliefs so they can improve their life, their love, relationships, and their parenting. And because that's what I've needed to learn for so long, and have had many beautiful awakenings and, growth processes throughout being a mom. My son is almost 10 years old and my daughter is almost 7. So for the last 10 years, and, I was always afraid I'd be a bad mom, and that showed up in many ways throughout having young kids. And then I had these beautiful awakenings around it, and, found a way to do this mom thing my way, and not to have these fears and limiting beliefs running the show. And so I love teaching this stuff to other moms and helping them find more daily happiness.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So why don't we go back a little bit? This is great. You're teaching moms. I want to go back a little bit more to like the personal development and your exploration into that, and when that was first starting, or you were getting on stages and stuff. Why don't you take us back to the beginning of your career and starting off as this, happiness coach that you became, an author and mindset mentor. Like, what created that? What created that aspiration to be like that? And how did you know that was your truth? Like, what was that defining moment that you knew that this was at least the direction you wanted to go in?
It's funny. I think because I started getting into that stuff so young in college, after college, but again, like in the closet with it, I was always a teacher, because I would teach that to the friends around me, and I would read a book and I'd be like, everyone needs to know about it. And I would, try and share it with everyone. And I started teaching workshops, like in my 20s, some law of attraction workshops, the Byron Katie limiting belief work I went through in like 2000. So back then, I started going to conferences and retreats. And so I was doing it really unofficially, and I was working full time at a health club as a aquatics director and the kids programs director, and loved my job. And I got to use my employees as my guinea pigs.
Yes.
Like, I would apply all these things. I would go to Landmark Forum, or I'd go to like a Tony Robbins event, and I'd come back and I'd apply them to being a manager, and would help them I would try and help them become the best employee they could be, and therefore the best person they could be, because it wasn't just about being an employee. It was about how could you be your best self. So I look back now at like, that was always feeding that coach inside of me, and that, personal growth development inside of me, because I was like teaching workshops on the side and like infusing it into my job, which was great. And I loved my job, kept moving up in my job. And at one point, this is after I did Lifebook, which is an awesome personal development program. And I've done everything, Chris. I know you've done a lot too. I would go up against anyone who's done a lot of these kind of things, because I was just obsessed for so long. I just loved it. It's what plugged me in. Yeah. And then I would be like, well, I've done everything except that, so now I have to do that. Now I have to do that. And I kept going. And at one point I did Lifebook, and I realized that the job I was in, although I loved it, it was no longer feeding and fulfilling me. I felt like I was giving to it and I wasn't getting from it. And I was like, uh-oh, now's the time. I had already started my own business hosting transformational leaders in Chicago. Like Michael Lozier, who I love, Gabby Bernstein, like a bunch of big speakers, and was running that on the side. So that was my first venture into being an entrepreneur. And it was hard to do that and make that profitable while also working a full-time job. So when I went to Lifebook, I started just dreaming bigger, and I started to see that this job was no longer fulfilling and that I may need to do my own thing. And so I created an accountability group, because I'm all into accountability, as you know, and masterminds and stuff. So I created a mastermind accountability group and said, this time next year, I want to have launched my own coaching business. And these people that had known me for only a short amount of time, they were like, it's about time.
Dang.
Like, doing this, everyone saw it in me before I could see it in myself. But I started going to events and going, to workshops and thinking, I could teach that. Oh,
Yeah.
and wait, I would teach it this way with this tweak. So like, that's beautiful how they're doing it. Here's how I'd present it and how it would appeal to these type of people. You know, I couldn't go to events without seeing that.
Wow.
And, you know, so that kept building my momentum and my confidence in doing this. And when I did finally launch my coaching business, I went back to my job at the health club where I was at for 20 years. And I said, oh, this is what I'm doing now. I'm a happiness coach. And my boss said, you were always that here too. Like, that's what you did here. And I was like, oh my God, that's like such a beautiful thing to know. Like, thank you. You know, like you didn't appreciate me or pay me enough for it, but thank you. So it was a really cool confirmation. And then, you know, I'd find like letters that I wrote to a friend or to a brother, and I would see like, I always was infusing that into my life. Like love and accept your life, like live in the now, carpe diem. Like, this is so important. I was like, really? When I was like a distraught, miserable teenager, like I was writing that. So I think it's, you know, this common thread that was always woven through. And it wasn't like a one-time thing and I left and then that appeared. It was like this more gradual thing when I look back at it. But I finally did start my coaching business and started working for Life Book 2, because that was like a big dream of mine. I was like, you know, why build your own Disney World if Disney World's already there? Like, go work for Disney and learn from them. So I started working for Life Book and teaching their program, and that got me into Awesomeness Fest and, you know, teaching the program in Kuala Lumpur at Mayan Valley, and, you know, speaking. Then my own company, my own business, I started speaking at other retreats and hosting my own, you know, so it just like kept growing because I think I kept taking downstream action, like things that felt good, things that were aligned with my happiness. And so, you know, things kept playing out and it keeps blossoming and blossoming into more and more of what's really fulfilling for me.
Love it. I love it. So there was a journey through all of that. So thank you for sharing that. And I think the biggest thing that I heard is that you just kept being who you were. You know, you got attracted to this content, to this material, this personal development, because even before that you were living that message of, you know, seize the day, or, you know, live in the moment, whatever it might be. And then you kept developing that expertise. Even in a managerial position, you were bringing back those concepts. Like, that's who you were. And you started hosting your own stages and bringing in these amazing people. And you started your own coaching company because people around you are like, duh, that's who you are. You know, like, of course you're going to be a coach. Like, it's about dang time. So I love that. A lot of life, for everyone listening, a lot of life is simply reflecting back to you the truth of who you really are. But some people are more aware and listening, and some people are more like caught up with the stuff that doesn't matter as much, the nice car or fancy clothes or whatever it might be. And it's awesome to hear how your journey unfolded, and to just have that awareness, to see that distinction. Everyone listening, are you seeing your life unfold exactly, not necessarily exactly how you want it to, but is it going a favorable way? Is it unfolding as you desire? If not, then you might be doing some things that are incongruent with who you really are. And how do you get back to that congruent state? How do you get back to that aligned downstream state of things that feel good?
Yeah, that downstream guidance is so important because, you know, for a long time at my job at the health club, I was trying to hold on to this thing that wasn't aligned for me anymore. And I kept getting these signs to leave, and I kept getting this heart pull to go. But I was like, no. I love it here. I love these people. I love my office. I love, you know, and so I was digging my heels in, and the universe kept showing me to leave. Like, it made it kind of sticky and icky, this job that I loved so much for so long. You know, things weren't working so easy. So I finally, you know, it wasn't that easy for me, started listening to the guidance of the universe, because what feels good is downstream guidance, and that didn't feel good anymore. I was trying to make it feel good. I was going, but it used to feel good, but I wasn't listening to it at first. So I took like baby steps out of that career and into my new career, which I always encourage my clients to, because they're kind of, so scared to like just take that leap and quit the job and start tomorrow. Like I went from 40 hours a week down to 30 hours a week, and then I went down to 20 hours a week, and then I stayed on just teaching a little bit, and then I left. And that's what really worked for me, because it felt good. But I definitely would encourage anyone to listen to that guidance sooner, because I look back at it and it's so clear to me. It was like the universe was going, we're not going to make this good anymore, because it's not aligned with your truest desires. Your truest desires can happen through these avenues over here, but not through that avenue anymore. And so I was going, no. And I was trying to make that avenue the right one, and I was clearing things out of the way and trying to make it, and it was like, it wasn't ever going to happen. So I still think I listened in time, and left that in a beautiful way with total gratitude for how it unfolded, and went on to my new thing down the avenue that was really going to pull me to my desires. So that's beautiful what you shared. I think you're so right. I think when we listen more to that heart guidance and take that downstream action to what feels good, we're always going to be rewarded.
So I'm curious, why do you think people self-sabotage themselves and their happiness by continuing to be attached to that which doesn't serve them? The struggling and fighting for the current reality, or what they think that they're supposed to do.
Well, I think a couple things. Like, one is we're in our head and our heart. So we're listening to, this, we think it's like this rational, like justified, like reality. It's hard to get another job out there. Like, people won't pay you as much. You have to, all of these things that are just up here in our head. You're not trusting the universe. You're not listening to your heart. You're listening to this, which is the word you use, sabotage. Our heart can pull us in a way, and our head can talk us out of it. So I call it heart guidance and head chatter. That monkey mind that like goes to fear. Like, there's love in your heart, and then there's fear in your head. And so, and sometimes your fear can talk you into something. It's not just always out of something, but your head can talk you in or out of something that's not guided for you. And then I also believe it's a lot of limiting beliefs, these things that we have planted in our mind that don't serve us, but we've been focusing on them long enough that we're watering those seeds and we're allowing those to grow. And so the simple, just like I mentioned, like, it's hard to get a job out there these days. The economy's not so good. Like, coaches don't make it easy. It takes 5 years for your business to really grow and be profitable. All these things that are, society's beliefs and our beliefs, and things that we may have even experienced in the past. But what we're doing when we're watering those seeds is we're asking for that to be delivered from the universe. So equally as true are other seeds that have been planted. Like, you've created every job you've ever wanted. It was easy to find this job. It'll be easy to find the next job. Like, you have a lot of talent. Everyone in this industry wants you on their team. Like, there's all these other seeds that have been planted, but we're ignoring those and we're watering the others. So those are nourished. What we need to do is stop watering those and water the other ones. Water those other seeds of the powerful, positive things that we do want to create. And then once we start doing that, I think then we start building more momentum. And then we have a little more evidence to the fact that these are all true. And then we start believing it more, and then we start seeing it more, and then we get, keeps like the ball keeps rolling.
Yeah. So this is perfect. I'm always like, how do we break the box? What box? How do we expand, quantum leap, accelerate, all that good stuff? If taking an action every day, like a habit, right? Like kind of a morning gratitude journal or something like that, is the kind of, I don't want to say slow lane, but the slow and steady wins the race. The long-term consistent way to water, right? It's that like watering every day. Is there anything that you know of or have seen or experienced or wisdom that can help people really accelerate that, help them quantum leap, help them really expand or break through a more of a slow pace and go faster? Anything that you've seen work really well for you or others?
Yes, that's the best question. So I explain it like that: S plus S plus S equals R.
Yes.
So our state plus our story plus our strategy equals our reality. So exactly what your answer to your question, focusing on our state and focusing on our thoughts, then the strategies that we want to take to get us our reality will create our reality. But usually we go for strategy. Like, I'm gonna create a new morning routine for my kids because their mornings are hectic. So I'm gonna try this routine, and I'm gonna try this routine, and I'm gonna write the things on the chalkboard, and I'm gonna give them star charts, and I'm gonna. But I like to reverse engineer it and go, what kind of state am I in first? What kind of thoughts do I have? Thoughts, intentions, beliefs, stories around this morning routine. Then the strategies will start working. So what are some practical things that we can do? There's things, that's why affirmations work. That's why visualization works. That's why intention works. That's why tapping works and EFT. That's why the Byron Katie work works. So whenever I felt like I was in a space where I needed to work on something, whether it was my relationship mindset or my money mindset or my parenting mindset, and I was like, I'm going to hunker down, I'm going to do this, I would create some daily things that I was going to do every day to prime myself and my state every morning. So whether that be meditation or breath work or visualization or music or gratitude, any number of those things that I can really embody it. I would work on that, and I would also do the Byron Katie work. It changes your stressful thoughts and turns them around. And so I would look at any limiting beliefs and just keep uncovering them, because when you uncover them, then you can find the root and pull it up and get rid of it. When you just keep chopping it down at the top, it's just going to keep growing. So when you can really uncover the deep roots of some of these fears or limits or stressful thoughts, then we can pull them up and get rid of them.
Love it.
Things every day, and really make it like your job, like your one big thing. Like, I need to be doing this to create the new mindset before I start creating the new reality and the new life.
So if I'm getting this correctly, if someone's not experiencing the financial results that they want, and for example, they should look for what's the root cause of this. It's not, and they've been trying for a while, right? They've been trying different strategies. They feel like they've been doing everything right. They should look for the root cause, and that should be like number one on their mirror every single day, right? Like, what's the root cause of my financial lack of financial performance? Like, what's at the core of it? What can I do about it? What can I shift today? What can I let go of today? What can I become or step into even more today?
Yeah, and the problem is, people say, no, I'm doing it all. I'm doing it all. I'm focusing on my financial abundance. I am, but are they really doing it? Consciously, they're doing it. So the conscious part of our mind makes up only 7% of our mind, right? So that's the tip of the iceberg. And there's the other 93% that's going, you failed the last 3 times that you tried this. Money doesn't grow on trees. It's not easy to make this happen. You're going to get right back to where you were before, Wealthy people are scumbags. Who knows? All these limiting beliefs are down deep below the surface. And yet, usually what people are saying is, oh no, I'm using the law of attraction and I'm focusing on what I want. Because consciously they are here and there throughout the day. 10% of the time,
right,
they're going, oh, that's right, I have a millionaire mind. Okay, yeah, I can create anything I want. But are they doing exercises in the morning? Are they shifting their thoughts throughout the day? Are they doing exercises every night? Are they doing the work? Yeah. Making it their one big thing and making it their job. Because when we do, that's when we uncover those things that are below the surface. And when we start reprogramming our subconscious mind. And the good news is our subconscious mind is just a yes machine. So when we start placing orders in there, it'll say yes. This time it is going to work. Yes. I can find financial freedom. Yes. It feels really good to be in this abundance. Yes. I keep seeing more and more ways and opportunities for me to be abundant around me. Yes, yes, yes. But what we end up doing is like one little yes to like 10 subconscious no's. Like, it's never going to work. And like, oh, it better work. And then we start focusing on the lack. Why hasn't it worked yet? Because we're focusing on the lack. And so we're focusing on the lack sometimes 70% of the time, 80% of the time, 90% of the time, and we're wondering why it's not working. So we need to reverse it. And it takes a lot of work to do that.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of discipline. It takes new daily habits. It takes accountability. It's work.
I love, yeah, it totally works. And I love that you said accountability there, because what I've come to understand and what we teach our clients at Burn Up Coaching is like everything is a conversation, right? We have this conversation, this perspective about how we look at life. We look at life as it's easy to make money. Some people believe that. We look at life as it's really difficult to make money and there's not enough resources to go around, right? Everyone has those different beliefs. And what happens is we have a conversation, and you have a conversation, Steffani, I have a conversation. What's super powerful is when two people agree. I think there's a quote that says like when two or more people agree, or when two or more people come in my name, I think in the Bible or something, like anything becomes possible, right? And I think it's really powerful. One of the things that we do is accelerate the creation of a new reality by having other people who are in agreement. So you mentioned accountability groups, masterminds. Those are amazing, amazing structures. And I want to get your take in just a second. But one of the games that we teach and we play is called the yes and game. And it's also based on improv, right? And in this improv world, you don't want to take down anyone else's dream or conversation or how they show up in improv, because everything's perfect. And we just want to keep playing forward. We want to move the momentum forward. We want to move the ball forward. We want to refine. We want to own in on our truth. What feels good? And so playing this yes and game, Steffani could say, today's the best day ever. And I could say, yes and I feel like a millionaire. I'm a millionaire. And Steffani says, yes and like I love
your jet next time to your next party.
Yes. And I love traveling the world and speaking, right? And it's like we can keep playing this game. And now Steffani and I have created this new mastermind, this new greater mind, this greater conversation about who we are together. And by linking those conversations together, like we can create our reality even more faster. And imagine if you can do that with two people, if you get a circle of people or a mastermind of people, boom, baby.
So I call those things future polls.
Ooh.
You're polling in the future.
Ooh.
And that's exactly what we do. And you talk about it as if it's already happened. And what's so incredible about that process is that tool, because it's a wonderful tool, is like magical things happen in those conversations. Like I remember sitting there and talking to, we would get together in groups of 3 when I used to host these workshops on law of attraction, and we would do future polls in groups of 3. And the one person who was receiving it would tell them what it was about. Like a woman who was like not married and didn't have kids yet, and she was trying to create her soulmate. And she would say, I want you to talk about my wedding. Ooh. And then she would sit there and close her eyes, and we would go, I'm so excited to go to Jenny's wedding. It's on a beach, and these are my favorite destination weddings, are the best. And then the other girl would go, have you seen her dress? It's incredible. And then we go, he's so perfect for her. He has such a great family. And she's just sitting there feeling it, right? Because it's the feeling place that we create from. It's not just our thoughts or our beliefs or our words. It's the feeling. So yes and games and future poll games can get us into that feeling place. And you can text with a friend and do future polls, or you can get together in groups of 2 or 3 or 4, and it's just even more powerful. I'm so glad you know about that awesome tool, because it is really a magical tool. And even I don't do that every day, and I should. I've gone through where I was doing it every day as part of accountability. Because that's one of those really powerful practices that we can do, that are just like picturing your day every morning and letting it unfold the way that you ideally want it to do. Beautiful practice. We do it every day. Future polls, yes, and beautiful practice.
Love it. Love it. Awesome. This is gold. This is lots of fun. We had Petya who asked, how about listening to affirmations at night while sleeping? If our subconscious mind is always like a yes, so to speak, what's your opinion on that? Is that something that will help accelerate us or kind of pull us ahead of our normal growth trajectory?
I'm sure it works. I do the Vishen Lakshani's Om Vana 6-phase meditation.
Ooh.
And it's a 20-minute long meditation. And I'm someone that's never tired. I have a ton of energy. And when I do it, I always fall asleep. Like, I don't know if I fall asleep or if I just transcend,
Wow.
and I go to a different place. But I don't really remember the whole thing, but I feel like it's still really effective. It walks you through this gratitude process and forgiveness process and planning process and visioning process. And so I'm sure that, subconscious reprogramming while you sleep would totally work.
Yeah. I love it. And, it's really cool because we're moving into an age where we can start to measure and quantify this stuff, like having brainwave readers while we're sleeping, and we can actually see, what's the optimal environment. If I listen to rain, is that better than listening to the ocean? If I'm listening to affirmations, if I'm listening to solfeggios or isochronic tones or, all these different things.
And there's the different music and tones that can get us into a different brainwave state.
Yes.
Is it beta or theta or whatever that we want to get into that measures that we're really meditating. I have one of those Muse headbands that really measures if you're in your meditative state. And I was like, does this really work? And it totally works. It's amazing. When you slow down your breathing. Have you ever tried the Muse headband?
No.
So if you wear it around your head and behind your ears, and it's measuring your brain waves.
Uh-huh.
And when you are in a meditative state, what you're trying to do is calm the noise of the weather around you. So it's kind of like waves, and when they're loud, you're not calm. The more that you breathe, the more that they get calm.
What?
And as the waves and stuff get really calm, you'll start to hear birds chirping.
What?
That's when you're in the really transcendent state. It's amazing.
You use this? You have one? Oh, what?
It's remarkable. It's really cool. And my kids have tried it and use it, and they can pretty easily get into that state.
Wow.
Even with our monkey minds going on, it's a wonderful tool. Yeah,
it's called the Muse headband.
Muse, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. Oh my gosh. That is epic stuff. So this is gold, Steffani. We're having a lot of fun. Great resources, great tips, strategies, tactics. And I want to move into the mastermind and accountability and anything else that you want to share about the power of that, or inviting people to do that or start their own. And I know you hosted your own events too. So kind of being that leader, the host, anything around those that calls to you. I'd love to hear about them.
So I noticed that, I did one-on-one coaching for the last 6 years and some group coaching, and I love it. First starting out as a coach, I was like, I just want to do one-on-one coaching. It's all I ever want. It's the be-all, end-all, everything for me. And I had other friends who were coaching, who were farther along in their coaching, who were developing these group coaching things and more. And I was like, I would never. It's one-on-one for me. That's all I want. And after you do it for a few years, you start to realize that you say the same thing to people all the time, over and over, and you're like, oh, and wouldn't it benefit them to hear this in a group setting so that other people were sharing? So then I started doing group coaching, and I do a 6-week-long group coaching program or a 6-month-long group coaching program. And what I noticed was during one-on-ones, a lot of my clients, I'd give them homework. I would try and hold them accountable. And whether we met every week or every 2 weeks or every month, I was very flexible on what worked for them. They would come back with the same problem and the same thing. And they'd go, oh, yes, you're right. And I would go, look back at the email, at the homework that we were supposed to do a month ago, And so the one-on-one accountability with my one-on-one coaching wasn't enough. And then the group coaching, I felt like there was more accountability, but the problem was after 6 weeks, it was over.
Right.
And they went right back to their life the way that it was before. Or the 6 months, it would die off after month 2 or 3. It was really hard to keep people engaged. Or by the 6 months when it was over, they were done. And then a few months later, they'd go, oh, I need to do that again.
Yep.
So for me, I also really get a lot out of being physically in the same space with other people and having epic experiences. Not just like information being taught to me, like the experiences and the time together and the connection. And so I know that we will do a lot more for another person than we'll just do for ourselves. So when we commit face to face to someone and say, I will do this for you. Yeah. Because if I don't do what I say I'm going to do, then I'm allowing you not to do what you're going to say you're going to do. Your dreams are so important to me that I'm going to reach my dreams and goals because that will support you in reaching yours. It's powerful, right? So to me, I've been hosting Mastermind and accountability groups for over 20 plus years. I started an actors group right out of college because I was an actress and wanted to be surrounded by more actors and wanted to be held accountable to go on auditions and to submit things to agencies. And so I started this actors group. This is before the internet and before, I put up a sign in an acting class and was like, come join my actors group. And I'm still friends with some of those people. And that group is still going. It's called the Chicago Actors Meetup Group because now it's online and on Meetup. So I started hosting those things and realizing that, like, this is how I get shit done. Like, I get more shit done when I make a list and have someone hold me accountable. But the problem with that actors group is, like, the same people wouldn't show up every month. So how am I held accountable if you don't know what I committed to last month?
Last month, yeah.
So I was like, it needs to be more frequently and people need to be all in. So I really started tweaking it. And I've since run accountability groups for health and fitness things, for my relationship, for sex and sensuality, for starting my business, getting in great shape. Like, I use them all the time, like short, long things, big things, like year-long commitments and 1 month commitments. And so the combination of getting together in a retreat setting where you're making a commitment to these other people and then having this experience together with weekly accountability and incredible content and collaboration. Like, I think the right accountability groups or masterminds, and I think they're one and the same. I think it's ideal when they're combined.
Yeah.
And that's accountability group. Because a mastermind is just like, let's all pull our heads together. And accountability is like, hold me accountable for this and this. A mastermind and accountability is collaboration. Accountability. And so I think the best accountability mastermind groups have a couple things in place. One is the right curated people who have some common things, some things in common. And number two, great content. Because we have to keep engaging and feeding it. If there's no content, if it's just every week bring to the table whatever you want, it's not as engaging and people are going to fall off. And then collaboration, like people sharing their genius, I think is even more ideal. And then consistency and commitment. Like the right accountability masterminds has all that. And for me, I would add in like getting together in person because there's even a deeper sense of commitment and collaboration there. So that is a dream. That's been the secret sauce for me to create this life of my dreams where I really have everything that I want in all areas of my life. And I'm always redesigning it to, because I desire more and I desire more. And how can I serve? And how can I give back? And how can I enhance that? And how can I optimize that? So I love that. And that's what I've been designing lately. And I know you are designing some mastermind things too. It's so powerful. And I think so many of us crave it. So the right one, the right fit.
Amen. And that's what you mentioned. A couple things in there is like one, having that peer support, having the people there who, if you don't show up with your goals accomplished, you're going to be letting them down and you're not going to be empowering them to achieve their goals. But also the growth. Everyone's constantly growing and so committed to that growth that they show up and they show up on time. They show up like ready to give. They show up like no matter what it takes to get to that meeting, because they're so committed. And it takes a certain type of person to do that. It's not just anyone who's willing to, oh yeah, sure, let's join a mastermind. And it's like, no, it's like you have a very specific laser focused intention on growth and becoming your greatest possible self through this mastermind that really is going to get the most out of it. So I love that you have these criteria that really make the successful accountability group and mastermind. And thank you for sharing that. And if anyone who's listening has any questions, definitely ask Steffani, because she's done these, as she said, for 20 plus years.
Yeah, I love them. And like on a low scale where it's like just friends and we're not paying anything, to a high scale where I've paid a lot to be a part of accountability groups. And I've run accountability groups where people are paying a lot. I've run the gamut and done it all. And they're really all so beneficial. Like I highly recommend getting involved in or creating your own mastermind accountability group.
Yeah.
And, certain steps that you can take and things that you can follow to make it run really great.
Amen. Amen. So I know
you've been a part of, Chris. And what are you creating with yours lately?
What was the question? Which ones have I been a part of?
Yeah, the most effective ones, and what are you creating with yours lately? I'd love an update on that.
Yeah. So for me, like you said, the in-person has been the most effective, although that's not necessarily ideal because I have a lot of people in my network who are across the United States and across the world, which is a challenge, but that's definitely the most effective I went to Toastmasters, right? And Toastmasters is kind of like a mastermind in the sense that every week I went and I fulfilled a specific role. I was the secretary, I was the vice president of education, I was the president, I ran the club. And it's like to know that I have a specific role that I'm supposed to fulfill, and there's people, face to face counting on me, and I can't just hide out. I can't just say, oh, it's no big deal, and then not really experience the physical impact of that. That was really powerful. So that's number one. And then number two is just having that common system of reporting statistics, of reporting accountabilities, of reporting whatever it is that each person is responsible for. So if it's like a coaching mastermind, I think if there's a common theme, a common industry that each person is in, that everyone in the group is in the same industry, I think that's really valuable because like you can all kind of compete, but also can collaborate on the same standard of metrics. Like, hey, did you get a new client? Hey, did you have a discovery session? Hey, did you fill your group coaching practice? Hey, did you do these different things? Maybe not necessarily a health coach and a health coach, but a health coach and a business coach, or a health coach and a relationship coach. I think that if you can have the same industry, but maybe make it so it's not as competitive and you could still help each other, I think that's ideal. And then
have you heard of BNI?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what they do there, right?
Yeah.
Powerful practice where they're, creating these all over the world.
Yeah.
And they're doing exactly that, like people from different modalities of different careers and coming together to support each other. That's a perfect example.
Yeah, and it's in person, which is super powerful. So love that. So I did want to ask you one question. By the way, I have my mastermind as well. You also asked about that, which we've been running a test pilot, a beta group, just learning what's working, what's not in that. And we're focusing on persuasion, focusing on doubling conversions and having people be more effective on social media, which it's going amazing. Super grateful for the program and all that we're learning. I think the biggest thing is how do we experiment with new stuff? How do we learn more with this group? How do we get the most out of it with each other, for each other? So I'm really grateful to be doing that. And then we're going to be starting another one when I'm done with my 10-day silent meditation retreat in May, probably the middle of May. So I'm super, super excited about that. Yeah.
One thing, I think we may have talked about this, and it just is good to mention because I'm not sure that we did, is the thing that I've tweaked about my mastermind accountability groups over the last few years.
Mm-hmm.
Focusing on effort over results. People come into accountability groups and they go, okay, I want to lose 3 pounds this week and I want to make an extra $2,000, and those are results.
Right.
And you have to guarantee those results. So what is the effort that you can focus on to create those results? Because when people go result-based with their goals and accountability, they're setting themselves up to fail. And then they don't meet it because they go, well, I didn't get the $2,000 this week because I had a client call that I thought I was going to, and they rescheduled. So when it's based on someone else too, you can't, have that. So they have to be based 100% in your responsibility, and they have to be based on effort. So if it's lose 3 pounds, what's the effort? So there may be like 6 different things, like I'm going to cut out sugar and dairy and carbs and drink a green smoothie and work out this many days a week. The effort, and then you'll most likely get that result. So effort versus result. I'm sure that you guys are like tweaking that, but that's what really has helped me tweak, and it helps less people fall off of accountability.
Yeah.
Because what people tend to do is when they don't meet their goals, they want to like ghost you, like, you know, because they feel so bad. But when it's effort based, they're usually still showing up and saying, I did the effort or did not, and here's why.
Right.
And they take more responsibility for it. When it's result based, they tend to just disappear after a certain amount of weeks or something. And there's ways to combat that too, to keep them plugged in.
So we have a couple minutes left. This is great gold. I love it. And I want to hear, what was like one of the biggest lessons you learned in launching your book?
Oh my God, launching my book was so fun. I feel like a lot of us have a book in us, and we all want to do it. And when it turns from a want into a reality, it's really amazing. The biggest lesson was that when you set a goal to complete a book, you could set a goal to do it in 2 years or to do it in 2 months, and whatever you set your goal on, you're going to achieve it in. So I wrote the book and launched it in 2 months, essentially. Wow. Really, you've been writing it all your life,
right.
But I wrote the book and launched it in 2 months, and became a best-selling author, and it's really exciting. And now I'm launching the paperback and launch it tomorrow. It's just, I think the biggest lesson is that like we can all do big things, and things that seem insurmountable and huge, they're all possible. And then you do it, and then even more is possible. So hard things get easier when you do them.
I love it. I love it. Awesome. So we're beginning to wrap up now, and we want to hear one more final, not call to action, because you're going to give them how they stay connected with you, and what do we want them to do next, right? But one more invitation to the new paradigm that they can live in without overwhelm, without stress, without anxiety, the new paradigm of happiness, the new paradigm of really choosing their mindset, choosing their habits, really just that pull, right? The future pull of who they can be and what they can have if they just continue to focus on this and step into this reality.
Well, I think it comes back to focusing on our happiness, kind of how we started this out. And for me, that was years ago. I created a happy list. I first started calling it like when life's going well list. Because when my life was going good, when days were going good, here were certain things that I did. I exercised, I ate healthy, I chatted with a friend, I listened to music, I got outside in the sunshine. Like, what are those things that made this day great? So now it's called my happy list. So what's on what everyone's list is going to be different. So what is on my happy list? Can I be more conscious about what's on that? And then can I do some of those things every morning to set up my day for success? So the more I can infuse it throughout my day, but the more I can get it in the morning, the more prepared I am for the challenges that might come my way. So if I had a crummy morning and then things happen, it's like, it's over. If I've had a great morning and something happens, I can handle it. So that's what I really encourage people to do. And we can just kind of think about, oh yeah, these things, but it's like we mentioned before, actually do it. Like write your happy list. Keep adding to that happy list. I talk to my other clients and then my accountability groups about happy lists. So I have like this master list of like all these great things. And when someone goes, you know what, when my house is organized, that makes me happy. I go, I'm putting that on my list too. Look at my clothes, that makes me happy. I'm like, I'm adding that to my list. Yes. One of my clients was like, when I wear red lipstick, I'm so happy. I'm like, wear it every morning, girl. Yeah. Put it on when you get up in the morning. Like, why not? Yeah. There's so many things that make us happy that we can go days or weeks without doing. And they're right there accessible to us. So I really encourage people to do that because I think it helps us tune into what we want. And I think happiness is the art of allowing. It's when we are clear on our desires, which I think many of us are, happiness is how we allow it all in. It's through that happiness, because it's getting into that feeling place and the yes and the future poles of what we really want.
That's amazing. I love this. So juicy, so juicy. So, Steffani, this is gold, and I'm sure people want to know, how do they get more? How do they stay connected with you?
Great. I have a Badass Mom Society Facebook group for any badass moms out there. I do a lot of Facebook Lives in there. We have just a really amazing group of women in there, and we really stay engaged. We focus on the good. We share our wins. We support each other through this totally real life parenting thing, but focused on solution-based, not on problems. So it's not like your average mom group. It's totally unique and different. I have a free training on designing your own morning routine. It's badassmorningroutine.com.
Love it.
And you can sign up for that and get a free training on creating your ideal morning, really customized for you so that you can get in the best state and infuse as much happiness in your morning as possible. And follow me on Facebook. I do a lot of Facebook Lives and share a lot of these tips and tools. And my website is myhappylife.com, and happy's with an I, myhappi life.com.
Love it. Steffani, you are a superstar. Thank you for coming on and sprinkling your awesomeness dust all over our audience so that we can be happy and fulfilled and just stepping into our greatest possible self. It's clear that you are a teacher, you are a mentor, you are a leader, a coach, and we appreciate you spending your time here with us and giving this wisdom to us. And I'm sure that we're going to be hearing about all kinds of great results that come from this interview, because it was a lot of fun. You gave us a ton of gold and tactical information.
You're so good at this.
Thank you.
You're a teacher and a leader and masterful, totally in your zone of genius. So I'm so glad you're doing this. Just
Thank you.
shine when you're doing it. I appreciate you having me. So fun. Let's do it again.
Yes.
We can talk for hours.
Yes. Awesome. Steffani, you're the best. Have the best day ever, and we will see you soon, okay?
Have a great marathon.
Promise.
Okay.
See you soon.
See you. Bye.